Hello and welcome to Out of Britain. Vanakkam, Sat Sri Akal, as they say. I'm coming to you from Little Punjab in the United Kingdom. This is Southall, a place which is buzzing, alive, full of people, full of energy. Yes, thank you, full of energy. The fragrance of samosas, the dangling sounds of bangles, the sights that you see here, the familiar faces, people smiling, and sometimes even offering you a cup of chai. Chai peena ji? Aajo. So that is what Southall is about. I'm going to be spending a day here. And today on this episode of Out of Britain, I am going to bring you the sights, sounds, and fragrances, flavors, colors, cheer, joy, including the stories around concerns, the creation of what it took to build Southall. Southall is not just an area anymore. Southall is a region where revolution took place, where community spirit is at full display. A region which has seen the struggles, the success of millions of Asians who chose to come to Britain to make a living right from the 1950s, especially the Indians from the Punjabi community. Stay with me on Out of Britain to walk with me through the different parts of Southall in London. This is the main train station which connects Southall in West London to the rest of London and to the rest of the UK. The very famous Elizabeth line runs on Southall, which means it's super fast connectivity to Southall. And you would have noted that this has Punjabi text on it. The only train station in the United Kingdom which has a regional language, which has an Asian language, and which has an Indian language, which is Punjabi. I want to say this change came about 25 years ago. These are the gates. So there are multiple ways to get to Southall. Through the trains, the most famous, and then there are the buses. There are, of course, cabs, which are very expensive. Don't do cabs. And there is another way to get to Southall, which is through Mr. Virendra Sharma, who's almost synonymous to Southall. An MP who's been here for more than 17 years, former Labour Member of Parliament for Ealing, and a councillor for more than 25 years.
28 years.
28 years. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, thank more you. Than 25. Yes, you're right.
Okay. Thank you for talking to NDTV.
No, it's wonderful.
It's such a pleasure to see you.
It's always a pleasure to meet you.
Indeed. Mr. Sharma has such a terrific story. You came here in the year 1958, was it?
No, 68.
1968. Right. As soon as you came here, you became a bus conductor.
My first job in this country was a bus conductor.
Okay. Which route, which bus was it?
That was the 207. There is a famous bus route from Uxbridge to Shepherd's Bush. And that same buses I still use to travel to the Parliament and other
Yay!
places. Yeah.
A bus conductor who became a Member of Parliament, such a champion of Indian voices, Asian voices here in Britain. You're going to take us through Southall because this is your bastion, this is your area. And I'd love to know from you Southall that was, Southall that is, and Southall that's going to become. But before that, tell us about this Punjabi name board of Southall Station.
Years ago, people of Southall, the first generation was the Punjabi speaking people. Majority of them. And their first language they could read and speak was the Punjabi language. So there was a demand because station was the focus, traveling around the world, traveling to the airport, traveling to Midland, wherever. So there was general demand that sometimes people can't read the Southall Station in English if there's other languages. So me and many other of my colleagues at that time in London Borough of Ealing, I was the councillor, then became the mayor of Ealing. During that time, we negotiated with the then British Rail to asking them that if we could put those signs there.
Punjabi name.
Punjabi name, and they agreed. So then that was the beginning, and we started it, and people start accepting it.
Okay.
It is recognizable when they travel, they see it,
Yeah.
that this is a Punjabi, and this is the different from others,
Yeah.
and then they say.
Yeah. It looks different, it's
Yeah.
significant.
Yeah.
It's not just about the language, isn't it? It was a milestone. It was almost a way of recognizing that this region belongs to the Punjabis and they need a way to recognize the station. Was it a sense of personal achievement?
No, I don't think so, but it is the achievement of all of us together. I never believed that any achievement you can have on your own.
Of course.
You could be in the front, but without the support of your colleagues from the community, you cannot achieve. This was the demand by the local community, especially those who could not read and write English.
Yeah.
The others also feel that we need to have that kind of recognition. People make it more convenient for those travelers who can't understand the English language and can't read English language, so that they can easily identify this is the with the different names.
That's Punjab,
and
that's
is
Southall.
Punjabi, that is Southall,
Yeah.
they come of it.
So do you really believe this is the Little Punjab of London, or is it just a term given by us in the media?
No, it used to be, as I said it, the first settlers in Southall was from Punjabi background. Punjabi from India or Punjabi from Pakistan.
Why did they come to Southall?
It's another story behind it. There was a firm, Wolf Rubber Factory.
Okay.
They used to employ the Asian, particularly the Indian workforce. So easily jobs were available
Here.
here. Near to the station, the first settlers were in Southall. So it was always, you are there, other member of the family came, other member from the village came, somebody from the same area has come, then they said, this is the place we will go and stay. As soon as you arrive, you are an economic migrant,
Yeah.
you immediately get the job, then you try to settle down.
Yes.
Or people work here at that factory for a few weeks, then move to Midlands. Because somebody from the same village or same area lives in Birmingham, say, why are you living in Southall? Why don't you come to Midlands? And the jobs are available and were available at that time. Employment was quite easily
Great.
accessible.
Yeah, so employment accessibility, a known name, that's why Southall was
Yeah,
preferred by
that's-
many
yeah.
first generation. Fantastic. Mr. Virendra Sharma, former Member of Parliament, is talking to NDTV. He's a household name here in homes in Southall. In Ealing area, he's been an MP for more than for 17 years and a local councillor and a mayor as well for 28 years. Mr. Sharma, where are you taking us next? Would you like us to go through the history?
I think that we can go to the next place should be Indian Workers Association.
Okay.
Though the office will be closed because it's a New Year Eve.
Okay.
But we can go in the front and I can give you the history of the Indian Workers Association
Let's
and
go.
the people.
Let's go.
Okay. In 1956, they formed this organization
Yeah.
and it became more political campaigning organization on the immigration issues, but also helping those people who newly arrived to this country, helping them to find a job, helping them to complete the then forms, every bureaucratic needs.
So helped with bureaucratic needs, language needs.
Yeah, that's it.
Was there racism that it fought?
Yeah. But that is a part of that organization to help those come, telling them
Equal
what needed.
pay, what their human rights
no,
are.
That time, equal pay was not first issue. That time was coming, then completing the early bureaucratic hiccups.
Yeah.
Means social security number you need, then you need employment, then you need to go somewhere. Then they used to have the volunteers who would say, I got a day off, I can take her to look for a job. So there was most industrial areas around, so they used to go with them to look for a job. So that was a helping hand in the beginning. But at the same time, they started campaigning for the rights of the immigration, discrimination, in the jobs discrimination, youth discrimination, elderly people. Then they became part of the mainstream, working closely with the then political parties and the trade unions. And that was the structure.
Yeah.
This is the building owned by Indian Workers Association.
Yeah. Since 1956. Fantastic.
Okay, so they got the two stories up,
Yeah.
rented, the rent, they get it, and then the donations comes.
Yeah. Now, I have one question
Yeah?
for you. You have worked with so many communities, and the Indian Workers Association is a classic example of community spirit, of people being there for the other, to help them find a job, fill up a form, find the nearest grocery store. If you have a personal injury, a body injury, how to get an NHS doctor to help you and get an NI number and so on. You've seen so many communities, Virendra ji, here. The Hindus, the Sikhs, there are so many churches here, of course, Christianity being the top, and then the Muslims who have several mosques. What is one thing common between all of these communities? What has inspired you?
The most important, that the beauty of Southall is, all the communities support each other. I use the term that we are all secular. We all have our faiths, but in public, we make sure that we support each other. We fight for the rights of the people.
Human rights, not religious rights.
Not every right. If you want to need a place of worship,
Yes.
though community will support it.
Yes.
There are the examples. The Hindus given the site or their properties to the Sikhs.
Lovely.
And the Muslims, Sikhs given their houses to the Muslims to
Lovely.
convert into the mosques. So it is all mutually supported. That religious site was supported by the community as a whole.
Fantastic.
That is the beauty of Southall. You will not find that kind of cooperation, community spirit anywhere else. So that's why I feel proud that the Southall basics are that we are one community, we work together, we support each other. Your achievements are our achievements, your failures are our failures. So we support each other. That's the beauty I see in Southall.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for talking to us. Pleasure, and thank you for taking us around Southall.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you. So kind.
One of the many Southall things to do, and I was thinking to myself, right, I should eat a samosa when I come here, eat jalebi, drink a lot of chai, go around the place. Of course, I've had my kulcha with chane, Amritsari kulcha with chane at Kulcha Express. And then I said I want to meet some really badass women. And I have with me two of them. That's Jatinder Kaur, who's a dear friend. Very young. We'll not get into age because then I'll have to spill mine. And I've just met Preet Bains, who sounds like another total badass. Yes, definitely. Came to this country 63 years ago.
Yeah.
And you came 58 years ago.
That's right. So,
Oh my God. That's a long time ago.
long before you were born.
Long before I was born. But you invited me to this pub to have this conversation.
Yes.
Is this a very Southall thing to do for a Punjabi woman to come sit here?
Not really. Not really, because I don't think women have got out of that old setup of stay at home. Or the most that they'll do is go to the Gurdwara or the Mandir.
Do some volunteering.
Or just to pray.
Yeah.
That is their idea of having a social life.
Yes.
You know, having a little gossip, sitting in the Gurdwara. But for me, I would like to see women more empowered, more in charge of their lives and doing what they want to do, not what they're told to do or what's seen as norm.
So Preet Bains held this position as Women's Officer for 10 long years and the Indian Workers Association, GB. And Jatinder Kaur, a very, very charitable woman, is a Lion and has held many positions in different Lions clubs across the city. The reason I'm talking to both of you is because today we're discussing the evolution of Southall, how it was, how it is, and how it's going to be. Who knows how it's going to be? But tell me how it was 60-something years ago. What was it?
About 60 years back, it was mostly Punjabi residents moving in, and the English people were moving out. Even in 74.
Was that with disgust? Were they moving out? Did you feel...
Yeah, you know, because Southall is so close to the airport that as the Indians started to come, then they would have friends or relatives already in Southall. So they would try and settle in Southall.
Yeah.
Plus, you had a lot of manufacturing jobs around. You had the rubber factory, you had the Timex, the bakeries, what else? T-Walls. That was a meat factory where they made sausages and pies. They're all closed now.
Yeah.
Right? And also for language, because coming straight from India, especially the women wouldn't have the English language. So they felt more comfortable living together or near someone. I mean, in Southall, you even had Indian doctors, Indian people working at the hospitals, you know, so they never needed to learn.
Yeah.
But over the years, we have seen a change. Whereas the Indians have become more settled and moved out into the neighbouring boroughs or areas.
Yeah.
And then we've had the Somalians coming in and people from Uganda. And after that, it was the Afghanis.
So more and more immigrants started coming.
Southall has now become such a metropolitan community area.
With a lot of BAME communities
Yes.
represented here. Yeah, I can see that.
That is changing.
It is.
You know.
It is.
And the actual setup of Southall has changed as well. More cars, narrow streets, small houses.
The businesses, oh yes, the
all the
trains,
businesses
the
have
professionals. Yes. Jatinder, you haven't really lived your life in Southall, unlike Preet has.
No, I haven't.
So what does Southall mean to Punjabis living away from Southall?
Well, growing up during the 60s and the 70s, I think I may have visited Southall about 5 times.
That's all.
That's about all. It was coming to get the food, to do the clothes shopping, meet a few families, and basically just on the outskirts of the actual community life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And as a visitor, did you feel that this area was not just an area where businesses were thriving, where samosas were tasty, but did you also realize that this was an area which slowly was becoming a power statement, a turf where protests were becoming changes to policy, politics, etc.?
Absolutely. I mean, during the Blair Peach time, it was very massive. And not only Southall, I think most of England actually,
First we had the murder of Gurdeep Jaggar near the Dominion Centre, outside a pub that used to be there, which is not there anymore. Then we had the National Front trying to have a meeting at the Hamborough Tavern, which is right at the end of Southall Broadway. And the community got together instantly, and unfortunately the pub was burnt down.
Thank you, ladies, for talking to us. It has been absolutely a pleasure, inspiring, and I'm totally amazed because in 1949, at Jatinder's home, there was so much support shared for a woman who had just gotten married. And obviously that has passed on to you, and I see you being out there. And same with Preet, who decided that she's going to be out there helping other women, and that's an ongoing process. You haven't stopped.
We are on different campaigns.
Even now.
Yeah, even now.
In the next 1 year, what change do you want for women in Southall and this region and the community? The next quick one that you may want to do.
Okay, the next quick one is for them to actually realize that they need time for themselves, and the washing up and the cooking and the cleaning can wait.
Okay. Oh, let's hope that happens. Maybe 2025. And even as I share about the vibrance, the beauty of Southall, the amazing economic turf that it is for millions of Asians that have come and have made their life, this region stands as a testimony to the struggles, the protests that the community has made together with persons such as yourselves to stand for human rights, and in a country such as Britain, which again has been a democratic place, which has again been welcoming despite the racism and you name it. There have been the issues, but overall it has been welcoming of people, and that's why Southall is so special. It's not just about the food and the color and the cheer, but it is about the stories in Southall that makes it what it is today, and it will continue to be so. Thank you, ladies, for chatting with us. I see the men have vacated. They heard we are going to play pool. So we are now going to go and play pool. Don't for a moment think it's not a Southall thing to do. It is very much still a Southall thing to do, even if you don't have the samosas in front of you. Play pool with women. Have a cup of drink or a cuppa or a cold drink or a lemonade and still have fun. Thank you. Southall never sleeps. By that, I mean, yes, the businesses are active, the shopping continues, the eating goes on, the fun happens. But by that, I also mean, as a metaphor, that this is a region and an area that is always alive, aware, and very, very politically relevant to make its statement, to make its presence felt in a country such as Britain. From the little India of the UK, from Southall, the Punjab of London, Radhika Iyer signing off on Out of Britain. Share your experiences, your comments, and tell us what you loved about Southall and why you might just come here the next time, what you'd like to do here.